definition.
There don't appear to be any serious behaviour problems, but Dylan notices something he sees time and time again.
Okay, guys, hands up then.
Hands up.
Some kids can't wait to take part.
Can I please have two people right there?
While others just switch off and opt out.
Hands up, what are some of the worst things do you think about the safe trade? William.
Dylan thinks that hands up is one of the most damaging things that happens in a classroom. He believes only a quarter of students consistently put their hand up.
Cool. See a few more hands, guys. I've got the same hands every single time. Emily. Emily? Emily.
Fed 1,000.
Yeah, fed the 5,000. Any other?
I try to put my hand up quite a lot because I feel like I'm getting more involved in the lesson.
I think the smart people put their hands up when a teacher asks the question, because most of the time they know what they're doing. And like the shy people tend to sort of stay out of that.
Sid and Katie aren't as keen to volunteer.
I put my hand up in class when I feel like I've got the right answer, but I don't do it as often as the other students because there's only a few lessons that I think I'm quite good at.
Okay, whether it was a lovely picture of maybe that girl...
I put my hand up in class when I feel that I'm 100% confident that I've got the right answer, because if I'm not 100% confident, I feel like everyone would laugh if I got the wrong answer. Even though that's not the case, really, that's just what I feel, and that's to do with my confidence.
It's always the same students putting themselves forward. The more confident ones, like Harvey and William. The kids who generally sit at the front.
Hold on, though. I mean...
The less confident ones, like Jamie and Holly, sit at the back.
Right, we'll put it here, actually. Okay.
Hey, come in, please.
Dylan wants to start by asking the teachers to use a technique he's been advocating for over a decade.
The children who are answering everything you ask them are actually getting smarter. Their IQs actually go up. And there are other children in the same classroom who are foregoing that opportunity to get smarter. So if you're allowing children to volunteer to participate or not in your classroom, quite simply you are making the achievement gap bigger. First change I want to encourage you to make in your classrooms is that when you ask a question, students do not raise their hands and you choose who to answer. It's very hard to do it at random unless you have some kind of randomization device. The way to choose students' names at random is to write their names on lollipop sticks, put them in a pot, and when you've asked a question, just pull out a student's name at random. They know that they're...
Dylan knows this is going to be tough for the teachers.
So little techniques like that can really help to make...
He wants them to end a practice that's been a classroom habit for over 100 years.
It's probably going to be a mixture of apprehension, because it's going to be something new. And I think when you do something new for the first time, human nature is you think it's going to fail.
And then tell the students that...
It scares me because it's new. It scares me because it's something that I don't normally sort of think about. I have gotten into the habit of feeling very secure with put your hands up, don't call out. It's that sort of, no shouting out loud. And one of the ways to sort of circumnavigate that is by kids put up your hands.
Miss Overbury.
How many things can you think of? Which group is going to be the best group? So our first contestant for today is... Can we have some drum rolls, please? Stop. Stop. Harvey.
Sad.
Blue. Sad. Anything else?
It's a boy's colour.
Okay, disappointment and sad. All right, guys. Shh. You fell?
Yeah, they dropped it.
But what's showing? Put your hands down. Hands down, no, hands up.
He fell.
You were on the right track, actually. Holly. Where's Holly today? Not in. The kids don't seem to be responding to it very well. They're still putting up their hands. They seem very aggravated by it today. They seem very frustrated.
Okay, so what could we say as our point? Shh, put your hand down.
Miss Overbury is worried the top ability students are missing out.
Boys, Sid, can you get some help off someone and we'll come back to you? Can you get some help off someone?
children like Emily, sort of, you know, your Chloes. You've got kids who really want to answer. And it's going to get very frustrating for them when, you know, you can see maybe other students not quite getting it.
Let's have a look. Katie, next one.
I'm not reading.
I'm not so sure whether I like it or not. I feel, if anything, it's actually hampering things instead of making things go smoother.
While the teachers soldier on, resentment appears to be growing amongst the students.
Guys, you know the rule, no hands up. I'm having enough of this calling out and whinging and moaning.
Dylan calls the kids together to get their opinion.
One of the reasons you're frustrated is because before no hands up, you were used to getting your way more often.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And, you know, so I can see it's an uncomfortable change for you.
Normally, I get frustrated if they don't pick me with my hand up, but it's more frustrating, I think.
Yeah.
Before, it used to be sort of like, for some people, it would be sort of like a laid-back sort of feel in some lessons, but now you've got to know the answer all the time, as Catherine said, because there's a chance that you'd get picked.
Right. Katie, Emma, what's your reaction?
If I know a question, like the answer to a question, I would feel the need to put my hand up. But if I don't know it, like my name always seems to get picked out on questions that I don't know.
Because it's fair.
Right,
Everybody gets a go. Sticks.
Dylan wants the kids to persevere.
Obviously, there are teething problems. Some students are unhappy, but is it going exactly as I would hope it to be going at this stage in the proceeding?
Dylan doesn't just want one student to answer, but all 24.
Hi. I think the next stage after you've got no hands up under your belt is what I call all student response systems. What you need is one of these, a mini whiteboard. I think mini whiteboards are the most important development in educational technology since the slate. If you want to get every student engaged, if you want to find out whether they've understood something, you ask a question, the students write their answers on the mini whiteboards, and then they hold them up. And you can quickly eyeball the whole class to see if they've understood it or not. It's very simple, but incredibly useful. Another technique we're going to encourage you to use is traffic lights. Every child has 3 cups. At the beginning of the lesson, the green cup is showing. If you want to signal to the teacher that you think she's going a bit fast, you show yellow. And if you want to stop and ask a question, you show red. So there are a number of these techniques, very simple, very low-tech ways in which you can improve the quality of information that you're getting from your students.
All these ideas sound really good, and I'd love to be able to use them all, and hopefully we will in the next few weeks. But it also strikes me it's a lot of stuff for them to play around with, drop on the floor, break, scribble on. You know, this is, you know, I don't know, is there any like particular technique or something?
You'll have to find a way that works for you, but what one teacher I saw doing was when a kid scribbled on a cup, she just took the cups off him. And he wasn't allowed to communicate using the cups. And he thought that was a punishment. So often kids will see, you know, this equipment is a way to help you as teacher help them. And if they misuse the equipment, then you're going to close that line of communication.
I think that what Dylan has given us today is going to be really, really helpful in class. It's somehow things that I have heard of before, sort of in the grapevine, but I've never really implemented for one reason or another. Maybe because I didn't have the time, I didn't have the resources. It was a great idea at the time, but I never really got into it. And I think it's going to be a really good opportunity just to try things out.
Okay.
Miss Obi.
3, 2, 1.
So far, so good. The whiteboards work well and everyone is engaged.
Okay, time is up. Can everyone show me their answers on their whiteboard quickly? Show me your answers quickly. Okay, from checking your answers, most of you have got it wrong. Excuse me. Now.
10 minutes into the lesson and the boards are put to more creative use.
Yeah, no, you can do it in your book and show me if I'm taking your whiteboard away from you. Tell her put your whiteboard away.
Because I'm doing a picture. At least I'm finished. You drew on me.
And make sure
Miss Obi's worst fears have been realised.
No, it didn't work. Well, I don't think the whiteboard worked very well because the kids were playing up, using it to draw and writing some stupid stuff, which was not what I expected them to do. So in the end, it caused more havoc.
Miss Overbury wants to try the coloured cups. She gives the class a written assignment and gets the students to use the cups to tell her how they're getting on.
If at some point during your assessment you're not too sure about something and you're feeling a little bit worried, I want you to please go to the yellow one. If, however, you're really stuck and you need immediate attention, i.e. you want me to come to you first because you're really stuck, you can't even go on to the next sentence, I want you to put down on a red. I want everyone, please, to put it on the green for now and leave them alone. I want everyone not to be touching them. You're touching them. You're a cup toucher. Leave it. Why is that so effective? Because what's that reminding us of? You'll never walk alone.
Slogan.
Yeah, perfect. So it's reminding us of how the slogan still use it.
What's penned?
Penned means like you're crammed into a very small space. No triangles. It worked nicely because it just stops them from having to keep their hand up the whole time, and it means that I can get to them fast. So yeah, it worked well. But I have noticed that they're just buckling down quicker to it, so that's nice to see. Okay, so now you want to actually be looking at the techniques. Okay, so I want you to pick.
Yeah, I did enjoy it because I did feel like more focused in the class.
I think that the coloured cups is a good idea. I think you can get like a feel of what the whole class are thinking.
Miss Obi decides to give the cups a go.
Thank you, Charlie. It doesn't tell you what P is. If I'm going too fast for you, you turn your cup to amber. Then, if you do not understand anything at all, if you do not understand, if all I've been saying does not make any sense to you, you still don't have a clue what I've talked about, you turn it to red. Okay? Now, Dean, can you give me...
But the cups bring a bigger problem.
Ryan, I'm going to take those cups off you now. I need it to be on green. I haven't even done anything that you don't get yet. I'm still starting the lesson. I need you all to do just question 1 first before we move on. We need to get that number that we multiplied by 2.
The students send Miss Obi a clear message.
X equals 12 divided by 2 is 6. It's not 4 divided by 4, it's 12 divided by 4.
Jessie, Katie, Harvey and many others turn their cups to red.
Okay? Charlie, turn around.
I'm offended.
I'm coming, Harvey.
Miss Obi!
The cups reveal the kids just don't get it. Dylan decides it's time to have an honest conversation with Miss Obi.
Yeah, so how do you think that went?
Not very well.
No.
Because they kept playing with the cups. But it's shocking how they forget things.
I think the problem with this class is at the moment they don't understand what those expressions mean. So when you say 4x plus 3 equals 12, they don't realise that you start with the x, then you multiply by 4, and then you added the 3, and you end up with a 12. I don't think they understand the order of the operations well enough, which is why they're struggling. So...
Okay, I don't know. The thing is, if each time you do something new, they struggle...
Yeah.
They get it now.
Yeah.
Leave it. Come back to it after 1 week.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even remember they've done it before.
Which suggests that they're not really understanding it, but they are getting the hang of it. But the problem is, as soon as you teach them something new, then the last thing you taught them goes out the window again.
The cups expose exactly what Dylan wants. Miss Obi thought she was getting through to the class, but her lesson wasn't working. She needs to have the courage to face up to that. Something many teachers never do.
The difficulty of all of this is that most teachers teach these lessons and they think the students are understanding it, and therefore they don't want to know that it didn't work. It's almost like ostrich-like behaviour. And what many of these techniques reveal is that despite your brilliant lesson, the kids didn't get it. And I think every teacher should want to know about that. There's an obsession that is affecting practically every single school in the country, and it's having the effect of lowering the achievement of our students.
That obsession is grades.
There you go, right here. It is. You got 4 Bs, so well done.
Oh my god! Oh my god! 5A! Oh my god! A 4C?
In Year 8, 4 is an average grade, 5 is good, and 6 is excellent.
Emily, 6A. Fantastic, well done.
6A! I am good. What'd you get? 4A. I got 6C. What'd you get? 5C.
Dylan believes that while a bit of competition can be good, when there's a big gap between the high and low performers, the lower ones just give up.
What did you get? I got a 4C because she thinks I copied it from the internet.
Sid doesn't like grades.
What you get normally is you get all the people who have seen their grade and they've got like a 6 or something. They're always looking around and asking other people, what grade did you get? And I think it's partly because I want to like raise their own self-confidence, sort of, to think, oh yeah, I got better than everyone else.
For others, like classmate Jessie, only one thing really matters.
The first thing that I look at when I get my ILC back is the grade. I just focus on my level that I got.
Dylan believes that with all the focus on the grades, students don't read comments that can help them improve.
Good morning.
So his next idea for the teachers is what he calls comments, not grades.
That rather than giving kids marks or scores, that you give comments about how to improve. If your feedback is causing kids to think and engage, then that's great. If your feedback is causing an emotional reaction or comparing yourself with somebody else, then you're lost.
The way that the system works, not just in this school and a lot of state schools generally, is it's very level driven. You know, the one thing that, you know, inspectors come and ask us, do you know what level you're at? You know, and of course the kids, you know, they want to know, Miss, what level? You know, you give back a piece of work, maybe a piece of homework that you haven't given a level. Miss, what's the level for this? They're sort of almost brainwashed into needing to know their levels.
This is a natural reaction. But the point is we've got to get away from that and focus on what's next. If you're marking kids' work, giving lots of helpful, detailed comments, and then just go and give the books back to the kids and say, do this in your own time, you're wasting your time. Because the kids who most need to work on that improvement won't do it.
It's Wednesday afternoon, and citizenship teacher Mr. Duval is the first to try comments, not grades.
Okay, so can you walk in silently? Okay, Sid and Jade, can you hand the books out, please? Right, I've been marking them the last few days, and I've done something slightly different, okay? You can read through it. I want you to look at my comments, but there's something else that's slightly different. So that's yours back. Okay. I'll explain to you in a minute. It's Lydia. Okay, as soon as you get your ILC, okay, I want you to have a read through.
Where's the grade? We don't get a level.
You won't be getting your grade today, okay?
We'll be getting it.
Because
That's the only reason I've done it.
what I'd like you to do, I basically want to concentrate on the comments and not the grades, because I feel you can improve if you read my comments.
Only reading the comments doesn't have the desired effect. Jessie is not pleased at all.
Stop drawing, Harry. You got a question to ask me?
It says that I haven't got that I have a lack of effort.
Why do you think? What's the lack of effort? What activity was that
I
for?
put loads of effort into it.
Okay.
Oh, I don't care.
Right.
Don't laugh.
So it's not a great attitude to have. You've asked Sir why you're lacking in effort, I explained to you exactly what you're lacking, so then you put on this I don't care attitude.
I'm not lacking effort, that's what I'm saying, so
but
don't put it on my work.
I suggest otherwise that you are.
Because it's confusing.
I didn't get a comment. It must have been so brilliant that you didn't read it.
I'm sure you got a comment in there.
I didn't. You didn't have a comment.
Oh, I'm sure there's a little comment.
I can't read your handwriting though.
Okay.
I'll grade at the end of the lesson if we want.
No. Okay, so...
But I don't get it unless I get my grade.
We'll talk to individuals afterwards. So...
This seems negative.
No, it's not negative.
Yeah, but the way you've written the comment seemed negative.
I'm going to talk to individuals after the lesson and we'll go through it then, okay?
I just wanted my grade, because I always look at my grade the first time I get it. And it's like grade's like the strongest part of it, if you know what I mean? So it's just like, take that away. I don't know. I didn't like the comments either, so that's what made it worse.
I wasn't expecting that reaction to be that negative, really, and that strong. I was expecting them to say, "Sir, where's my grade?" And I say, "Read your comments." "Oh, okay, no problem." But to react the way they did, I couldn't foresee that. No way.
Okay, so I've done the comments, but no grades on this, okay? Oh no. Well, read the comments. Shh. Read the comments. Read the comments, Jessie, and just see sort of what you think of them. What I've done is I've created a space underneath it, Daniela. In this box, I want you to write down, like, what do you think of your targets? Are they fair? Am I talking complete nonsense?
Without a grade, they start to compare comments.
What did you get for your...
Emily, where did you get the all excellence and everything? Oh, I got 1 excellent and all the rest good.
Oh, I got all excellent but then 2 good.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yes, guys, are we reading the comments?
It's good.
No, I can't
understand.
Really like the comments. I want a grade.
What's my comments? Come on, guys, comment here. What do you think of the targets I've given you? So, do you think these are good targets? Do you think they're not good targets? Did you read all these, yeah?
Oh, no.
Yeah? So, do you think these are good targets for you? What will you try and work on, yeah?
Eventually, Miss Shepherd's persistence pays off.
It's a fair comment. What are you going to work
Miss, I finished it!
I think that is the most I've seen any students read comments. Like, ever.
The comments show that I'd done better in my history than my citizenship, because my citizenship had a lot of negative feedback, but my history had more good comments.
Yeah, I think it's clear because she put exactly what I could do next time to get a better grade and what further details I'd need to go into.
Previously, I've handed these types of projects back and it's like, oh, I've got a 4A, and then seriously it will end up in the bin. You look at the end of the lesson and the entire thing will be in the bin, and you're like, well, you spent ages about making this, I've spent ages marking it, why is it in the bin? Like, it means nothing. But I mean, I don't know if these guys would do that anyway. But yeah, definitely it seemed to me they were spending a lot of time looking at the comments, which is fantastic, really, and I'll definitely use that again.
But the craving hasn't disappeared. It's 5 weeks in. Dylan has an idea that he thinks might help Miss Obi. He wants the students to observe her class and then offer advice on how she can improve.
When teachers are thinking about how to improve their practice, one of the greatest resources in the school is untapped, the students themselves. Students have amazing insight into their own learning, and they can give advice to the teachers about how to improve. I don't think teachers should be afraid of asking the students for advice.
I never really tell the teacher what I thought of the lesson because they might consider it quite rude if I were to comment on their teaching styles.
I don't think a teacher's ever asked me what I thought of the lesson. Unless it's another teacher asking how it went or how I behaved, but not the actual teacher that was teaching the lesson.
Teachers never ask me what I thought of a lesson, and I think that's quite bad, really, because we're students and the only people who know about how good a lesson was is us, not people who like write books about how to make lessons, not the government. It's just the students.
The idea is controversial. Some believe it undermines the professionalism and authority of teachers. But Dylan thinks that if it's done properly, it can be a win-win situation. Miss Obi is up for having a go.
If you've done something wrong and someone tells you about that in a very good and professional manner and offers help on ways to improve your practice, I think it's a very good idea, and I love it so much because I always love to learn from my mistakes.
That's how you spell.
Dylan chooses several students, including Sid and Katie, for student observer training.
So you've got to be really professional because the teacher has to trust you and has to trust what you've got to say. Okay?
They learn how to analyse a lesson, examine how much learning takes place, and give constructive criticism without getting personal.
You need respect, because if you haven't got respect for someone, then you can't really give good feedback about them. And honesty, because if you're not honest with the feedback, then there's really no point of giving feedback, because the point of this is to actually tell it like it is.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. So when you have your first meeting with them, you can share sort of what you looked at in this training.
Sid and Katie meet with Miss Obi to find out what areas she wants them to consider.
I would like you guys to observe if I give the students enough waiting time to give me a response from the question I've asked. The next thing is the pace of the lesson. And the last one is behavior, obviously. You know, this must always come up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, behavior.
For Katie, it's a very new experience. Having struggled in maths, she is now in a position to advise Miss Obi.
Well, maybe like it while you're teaching you take. It is a responsibility, but then it's a privilege as well for us to be chosen out of the whole form.
For a teacher to like allow you into the classroom and give feedback, I think there's got to be some trust, really. So I think it's like quite a big privilege to be able to like be put in that position.
5x minus 5 equals...
It's time for them to observe her lesson.
X is 5. What is 3x? Jamie, have you completed another one? Are you able to do it? I'm doing it again. 2x plus 3 equals... Cross the magical bridge. Yes, Dick. Taylor, you know what to do. I've explained how to do this to you.
There's quite a lot of people with their hands up, but there wouldn't be so many people with their hands up if, like, not as many people was misbehaving during the demonstration. Quickly helps stop students. Good marking while we're working.
Out.
2 days later, they're ready to face Miss Obi.
How bad is it? So on average, what do you think? Do you think the lesson was entirely bad?
I think that the teaching side of it was quite good. It was like really good, but the behaviour side of it was just affecting the learning.
Students sort of sometimes seem to be taking advantage of you. Like, and when your back was turned, they would stop doing the work and just wander around and talk to their friends.
I think we counted it was only about 5 or 6 people actually doing the work and not turning around talking to people.
So that's, in essence, being more strict.
Me and Sid had a thought, like, you should get, like, all the people who had a red cup, because if there's like loads of them who has a red cup up, it would take more of your time and you're running around the classroom. Me and Sid thought like you should get them into a group and explain it with all of them at one time.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
We thought it went quite well, the interview. I think that she took on board the feedback quite well. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Sid. She seemed to take in everything that we said.
I think it must be quite hard to be a teacher because you've got all these things that you've got to keep on top of, like do people not understand the work? Are you praising enough people? Are people being silly and not doing it at all?
Now I have realised how hard it is and how much work Miss goes through to do all the lessons plus deal with all the students. So I think I will think twice about my behaviour now.
I think they were very, very constructive in their feedback. They've really put in so much effort into this, and it's really, really useful because they obviously saw